So here's my pitch.
Oh, you said
You remember-
pitch, not
yeah,
bitch.
yeah.
That's what I thought I was hearing. Just checking.
I will attempt to accentuate my plosives correctly in the future.
Thank you.
Here is my bitch. Pitch.
Whoops.
See, you got in my head.
Mm.
Yesterday, when we were chatting about this, I felt every time you'd say yet another nugget of wisdom, I was like, why aren't we recording this? So from at the end of the sentence, starting forward, recreate everything you said yesterday, word for word, go.
Perfect. All right. Let's see. I said hi. Blind.
Great. So I would say, how are you doing? How's your week going? Unless something radical happened since yesterday.
Yeah. And then, happy to report nothing radical has happened. So.
Okay. And also nothing radical?
Neither radical nor irradical.
There's three options there. Okay. I was going with the radical as in big change, but also radical like dude.
I'm too young to catch that reference.
Yeah.
Well, what's up? First of all, hi, my name's Scott, for those that didn't know. And I am in between a career pause, in the middle of a career pause. So it's been really an enjoyable time to catch up with folks that I haven't talked to in more than a couple of years. So you and I have talked a couple bits during the summer. I talked to a guy yesterday. We got connected on LinkedIn 15 years ago. We have 153 connections, and I had never met this person. And it was really fun to have a conversation with somebody that's in the same industry, same space. Clearly, we know the same people, and just using that time to network and connect and figure out what paths have you been down, what paths have I been down, and see if there were ever times that we were near each other on the journey.
Did you say, hey, let's meet, or did he say let's meet, or?
Yeah, here's a cool tip. There's a
Is it a pro tip?
We'll let you decide.
Yeah, okay, right. Thank you.
There is a website called LinkedIn. There is a way to download all of your connections to a spreadsheet. And then I created a spreadsheet, and it shows their name, where they worked, what year you connected. And so I just sorted by oldest first, and I started going down the list of people that, and so that's where this guy got bubbled up onto that list of people. And you never know what you're going to get, but he started his career in the mid early 90s, like myself, doing research like myself. And it's just fascinating how many of us were just making stuff up as the world was progressing.
Yeah, it was bizarre. And I think so, because I'm so young, I didn't start until the late 90s. The latest 90 you could get is when I started. And I didn't get a chance to make it up as I was going along. I do that now, obviously.
Sure.
Because I'm so wizened. Huh? That probably means peeing and I just don't know it. But, when I started at State Farm, they were big on like training you, and we weren't allowed to make stuff up. So I'm sort of envious of you being the stalwart leader of tomorrow, today, yesterday, now.
It's interesting, Matthew. And yes, the full background. So, I was in college getting a computer science degree. I went into the intern office and I said, here's the extent of what I know about my future career. I want to play on computers, but I don't want to program. Like that's the extent of what I knew about my future life. And the guy said, great. there's a place in Dallas called Usability Sciences.
Sir,
And I
this is an
said,
Arby's. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I said, what's a usability? Like, how do you
Uh-huh.
spell it? I was pretty sure there was going to be an E somewhere in that word. And,
Mm-hmm.
I
There
called
used
the
to be.
place in, well, good. It's
Yeah.
the English spelling, I guess. And I called up there. Turns out a buddy of mine was co-oping at the same time, you know, when I was interviewing.
Uh-huh.
And I just remember, for 20 years of my life working as a consultant in research, every 5 weeks was the exact same thing, but completely different. And the similarities were kickoff calls with customers. What's the problem that you're trying to solve?
Uh-huh.
Who are your customers? We're going to recruit them. We're going to talk to them. We're going to be a neutral party to figure out what they like or dislike, and then we're going to report back to you. And so the nuance of here's here's the situation. We're dealing with petroleum refinery software. So how do you test that? How do we work through that? And so that was where all of the process to think through out of the box of every project was a little bit different. And I remember like 1996, there was one round of research was testing kids software. So we recruited 10-year-olds. And
Uh-huh.
then 3 weeks later, we're testing the petroleum engineering software. And the interesting thing is like the UI that they were trying to figure out was the same UI that the kids software had been, but they just didn't know it. And so I was able to, you know, go to a chalkboard or whiteboard, whatever we had back then, and be able to highlight some of those. It's the same thing, only different, and being able to
Mm-hmm.
pass those forward. Interesting twist.
Yeah, and it's funny that I mean this is my bias is showing, but you're explaining that and I'm thinking about how sorry. There's always exceptions. Set that aside. I hear about like, oh, but we need you to have experience in our industry. Like you won't know if you're not in our industry. I'm like, yeah, yeah. Is it people trying to do stuff and get things done and it's hard and we want to make
Yeah.
it easier? Okay. Yeah, I got it. Anything that I don't understand is what you have subject matter experts for. And we're good to go, people. But it's
It's
a
fun.
lot of the pushback is even I don't know when it started. 2010s probably is when I feel like it started in earnest. But these days, it's like, no, you need strong fintech experience to understand about our money things, whatever the
Yeah.
thing is, and it's like, why? Like, I
Yeah.
know they're thinking about it as like, we need you to be an expert in our industry and in what you're doing, and so that you can really deep dive into this thing that is for consumers who don't have a lot of personal finance experience. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I don't get it, but okay.
Right. Because, well, Matthew, you don't know our 3-letter acronyms.
That's
So
right.
you won't
Yeah.
know how to say, hey, I don't know what that acronym is. Please explain it to me. And
Which is weird because I'm a big fan of TLAs.
who wouldn't be? It's
Yeah.
the,
Thank you.
I'm going to go back to that same petroleum software.
Mm-hmm.
Session number 4, the petroleum engineer, we're dealing with nerd stuff. And he, and I was asking, how can we make this easier to use? And he stopped me in the middle of the session and he said, you keep on asking how to make this easier. This is complicated. And if you do something wrong, you could blow up a city block. And
Mm-hmm.
so I don't need it to be easy to use. I need it to be efficient and I need to be successful with what I'm doing. But
Mm-hmm.
don't dummy this down because it's a really complex world, and I'm juggling a lot when I'm trying to get my head wrapped around it. So it was an interesting twist
Yeah.
about how to make his world more efficient, but not 1, 2, 3 easy for the
Hmm.
world that he's dealing with.
So I love diving into terminology. Like when I think easy to use, I think efficient, you know? It's but I take the point also from the perspective of the person who's actually doing the work is, and the language that they use is it, you know, then adapting to that. But I would imagine that easy to use means not don't make me think, but only make me think about the things that I really need to think about,
Yeah.
and ideally in the right order. Because I
Well,
assume
and
that
the
that type of
other,
thing has definite order of operations to consider. So,
yes, the other twist about that software, their confirmation message, every time you change a value from 12 to 28 and you click save, confirmation message would come up. Warning, death or dismemberment may occur. Are
uh-huh.
you okay with this? And the first time I was like, that seems pretty heavy handed, folks.
Uh-huh.
And then as I learned more, I was like, well, no, it's not heavy handed. That is reality. And our lawyers are making us put it in there. But it was interesting to be a neutral party that
Uh-huh.
still could find the paradigms for how to solve what they're trying to show in that UI by using, ironically, in that situation, the UI that we tested with 12-year-olds 3 weeks before.
Uh-huh.
So it was, I use that phrase, the same thing, only different
Right.
in many
Yeah.
ways in my career. And that's yet another example of it.
Yeah.
Be fair to the quote, same thing, only different every time, was
Uh-huh.
apparently a quote made in Hollywood when it comes to making movies. So that
Uh-huh.
movie made millions. So I want the exact same movie, but completely
But
different.
different. Yeah.
And it's just interesting how that's true in the world of UX as well, of, you
Uh-huh.
know, companies that are out there. Is, you know, I worked at Salesforce for many years, and it started on the premise of we're going to use the same tabs as Amazon. And if people know how to browse Amazon tab to
Oh.
tab to tab, then there, ergo, dot, 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 they can build a CRM. And for many years, Salesforce had that exact same look and feel. And, you know, opportunities were mustard yellow, and they were famous for that same color. So it's just, you never know what you're going to
I'm
get.
I'm Picard facepalming because see, I'm trying to make a more recent reference, but you were saying the Amazon thing, and that's part of the reason I left State Farm. Too many conversations of why can't we just do it how Amazon does it?
Yeah.
And to hear you saying that, like, I mean, I know you were there for a while, but like, it's still relatively recent. And it's like, we're still chasing this shit. Like, do you sell socks and books and pharmaceuticals? Okay.
Yeah.
Copy Amazon. Like, I don't know. But do you sell dreams? Maybe you should copy somebody else.
Uh,
A mattress
yeah.
store. I don't know.
It's an interesting twist to assume they're really big and successful, therefore
Right.
they must have a
Yeah.
good UI. And, you know, I for many years of my career, my push to folks is, what would TurboTax do? WWT,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
True.
Turbo
Yep. Mm-hmm.
TT do.
That's probably why
Be-
it's not a bumper sticker, but go ahead.
because they had such a smart onboarding path to take such a complex process, dumb it
Mm-hmm.
down to question by question. And then there was one year I feel like they got away from this eventually, but it's like, here's like the community in that same question number 98. Should I file married or jointly or individually, whatever? And here are the questions that generally come up at this point. And being able to help you think through those possibilities was a really smart way to do things,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to just do what insert name a big brand does, because not always the best path.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It's part of the, like, there's an aspect of this, especially as a consultant or external person, when a client asks for a competitive analysis.
Hmm.
I'm like, why? Like, I'm not full stop against them, but they're really low on the deliverable menu, you know. It's not the right term, but because inevitably what will happen is, oh, they're doing this thing and this, you know, it's a pretty good idea. You don't actually know if it's working well for them. Like, it could just seem like a really good idea on the outside. Like, oh, that looks good. Oh, that flow makes sense. Oh, yeah, this is, we should do this. We should offer this. But you don't know if they're making money off of it. You don't know if it's
Yeah.
serving their customers' needs. You
It,
can find those things out, but usually you don't do that as part of a competitive analysis. I don't know, maybe sometimes you do, but
it's interesting twist, Matthew. Life as a consultant, some of the projects that come in, and you know, some of those projects where there's an industry leader. We want to know hoping to be a disruptor.
yeah.
How does our product compare to the industry leader? And it's an interesting twist about they can't sign up for a license of their product, of their competitor's product. But as an independent researcher, I
Mm-hmm.
can. And so I may not be able to show you screenshots of it, but through that lens, we could recruit users of the industry leader, talk about their jobs to be
Mm-hmm.
done. Walk me through your process. What do you like? What do you dislike about it? And learn where the pitfalls are. And then at the end of the session, show them, and now here's the disruptor. Here's how you might be able to do the same thing. So it's not exact competitive intelligence, but it's
Yeah.
somewhere in that murkiness of figuring out what's good, what's really good, what's really okay about the
Mm-hmm.
industry leader, and how to disrupt it.
Yeah, and I think halfway through my explanation of how I don't like it, I thought about, I was working at a startup at the time, and one of the ways that I helped them pitch to new customers was I went to those companies and did usability testing with people who use their products
Yeah.
on their products, and then showed them how bad it was. Like, that was part of the pitch. Like, we investigated you and found these problems, and here's how this product can help you improve these things. But I'll say most of the time, the amount of time you get, what a client's willing to pay for the stuff that I've worked on anyway, especially from a time perspective, they don't want to go all out with that, the investigation that you've described. They want to know, like, you know, what does their total addressable market look like? Stuff that, like, product managers tend to get into a bit.
Yeah.
What's their customer type? You know, who are they going after so we can get them instead? But also, like, a expert evaluation, heuristic evaluation of their product or whatever. And that's about as far as they tend to really want to go. And I think that that's why I have this hesitancy to do it, because I don't feel like that light level really offers a lot of good decision making fodder
Yeah,
later.
right. And life as a consultant, or I worked at a consultancy, let's say there's 30 employees. They only did research. There's no design. So it's always, we're going to be neutral. And it's interesting how many times the prospective client would call in to say, they start with the solution. I need to do a focus group. Whoa, hold on. What are you trying to
Yeah, yeah,
learn?
yeah.
Well, we're a disruptor and we want to understand, so we're going to do focus. I was like, all right, pop. Let's think that through. And so part of what I just heard from you, Matthew, is like we had to come up with a nuance of our methodologies. There's a competitive test, Then there's a
Mm-hmm.
comparative test.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, what's the difference? Competitive test. We're going to put on white gloves. We're going to give everybody the exact same task. It's going to be a shootout. If you can't figure it out, that's a bummer. Now let's move on to the next task. A comparative is we're going to take white gloves off. We're going to be as neutral as possible in explaining here's how product A does it. Here's how product B does it.
Mm-hmm.
And get you as smart as possible about both paths. Here's a weird shortcut. Here's how you would do it here. Yeah, it's a little bit odd, but at least you can do it. And I always put more value in that comparative because we're trying to understand the underlying job, which of these things is going to make you more successful, because it's not just the out of box, it's how useful is it 3 weeks later once you've been using it. It's a
Yeah.
nuance to understand.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And now what I'm hearing is Matthew doesn't do nuance well. I get it.
Yeah, good.
Um, thanks, bastard. Um,
There was an
wow, this
audio
is a good
glitch.
microphone.
What just
Yeah.
happened? Yeah.
Yeah. It was my plosives. I said pastured,
Oh,
which
good.
is short for pasteurized,
Yeah.
probably. No. So, okay. That's all well and good. We've solved that. You mentioned jobs to be done
Yeah.
in your diatribe against me. As a consultant, and we could talk about not being internal too, but like as a consultant, where is or to what extent is the appetite for people your clients understanding that or getting into that? Because I feel like I'd say probably over the past 7 or 8 years, there's been like this rolling interest where it dies away and it comes back, and it dies away, it comes back, and I've dipped my toes into it some, but
Yeah.
you're the expert, so
Well, a couple different thoughts,
what
rants.
would jobs to be done do is the bumper sticker explanation I'm
WW,
looking for. Yeah,
JWD,
W.
D.
Yeah.
Um,
Where's that
Full
appetite
disclosure.
like? Full disclosure. Oh, okay. Death and
Yeah,
dismemberment may
may
happen
occur. Yeah.
if, yeah, okay.
The concept of jobs to be done, somebody created a book, came out with a methodology. It's really cool. And so I
Mm-hmm.
was working at Salesforce at the time. I had done workshops about perspectives and helping product think through what do the veteran customers want? What do the onboarding customers want? What do the prospects want? And I was coming up with this deck of here's 3 perspectives. What are their outputs? What are their expectations? And
Mm-hmm.
then there was a memo that went out within research at Salesforce. Stop what you're doing. We're now doing jobs to be done. And I was
Okay.
like, oh man, I, before I even figure out what that book is, let me finish this. No, no, no. Go read this book. And as I was flipping through the book, I was like, well, that's exactly what what I was doing over here. So I took that work and I just did a search and replace. And so now suddenly I'm doing jobs to be done.
Mm-hmm.
And it, to your point, like it's interesting how polarizing the concept of jobs to be done is in our industry. And I think it's because if you're an organization that goes all in, then it becomes like a fractal. You're going to, here's the jobs done for this layer, and we're going to drill down one. Now this layer, drill down another, drill down another. And I don't have the appetite for that level. So I like the
Mm-hmm.
surface level of what jobs are you trying to do? For those that don't know, the methodology is ultimately the jobs to be done of a customer using that product. I have a job to
Mm-hmm.
do. If I can do it, then I will keep paying you. If I can't do it, then I will not pay you, and I will find somebody else that can do it. So these are the jobs that I need to have done. And part of that soapbox is in there about, are you satisfied with the job? Are you successful with the job? And all these different twists. But I feel like, I know I'm all over the place with your
That's all
question,
right.
Matthew, but
That's all right.
for our world right now, with the magic wand of there's a thing called generative AI, and it can solve the world's problems. I don't know if you've heard this or not. And
No, it's just new.
what I think product research should be doing is to level set, what are the jobs that are out there? What of those jobs are important? What are those jobs that people are successful about? And then use some fuzzy math to be able to say, of all the jobs, here's a heat map, and bubble up the ones that are really important and people are not successful. Let's focus on those things. And
Mm-hmm.
now where can we focus AI to solve those world problems? That's where I think research should be doing, of listening to customers, understanding their jobs, and then,
Mm-hmm.
dear technology, go solve those things. Because sometimes I think we start solving the wrong problems in the wrong ways.
Right.
Make sense?
So, okay. So within that, for fuck's sake, I forgot what my question was. You talked about the heat map. You talked about, this is what real conversations with real people look like. Dadgummit. Like it's like the shape of it. I can sort of see the shape of it, and
Well,
so I'm trying to
let's
like invert it to figure out the negative to be like, oh, it was this.
let me throw in some more color commentary and then see
Okay.
if this
Yeah, and maybe
nudges
that'll
you.
spark it. Yeah.
So, in the career pause that I'm on, my brother
Mm.
works for a nonprofit. And when I said that I had left my job, my brother very nicely said, well, I'm very sorry to hear that. But since you're available, how can you use your research jobs to make my nonprofit better, faster, smarter? And so we started doing some workshops about jobs to be done for his space. So we did 3 workshops of his constituents that he supports. And we said, of all the conversations, here's 15 themes that these folks need. And for each theme,
Mm-hmm.
then we did a survey. How important is it? And how successful are you at it? And then we can come up with an opportunity score. And so we're in the process of doing the analysis right now. But as a nonprofit, they're after grants and people to say, give us money so we can make impact to STEM pieces. And I really like this as a methodology of, here's the 15 themes. Here's the 5 that have the most opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Now, then he'll be able to direct his team to prioritize based on a couple different inputs. Like, here's the input of what your customers, your constituents have, but also here's the input from what your internal team thinks is important and which
Right.
has the lower lift. But ultimately, dear grantee, give us your money. We're going to fix these top 5 things. And the survey is now going to be in a repeatable format because the jobs shouldn't change. They are timeless,
Right.
as the brochure says. And being able to gauge that impact, I think, is a really healthy cycle to be able to help out with the innovator's dilemma of what should we be working on next. I think there's some
Mm-hmm.
smartness to it, and get
So
away
there,
from NPS, etc.
yeah. So there's a longitudinal aspect that's starting with,
Sure.
yeah. So I remember what my question is, because you just said the word success, and the comparison, the contrastation, it's a word now, um, of success and satisfaction,
Yeah.
the extent to which both can be and should be measured, and their place within jobs to be done, or however you've modeled this framework for your brother,
Yeah.
which, yeah. So, like, how are you capturing that, and what level of import are you
Yeah. It's a
imparting onto it?
It's a good question.
Thanks.
I will sound hopefully smart as I answer this, but full disclosure, I'm channeling a guy named Roger Bynum that I used to work with at
Mm-hmm.
Usability Sciences, and Roger was more on the quant side. And so Roger started doing surveys. Hey, doing this task, how satisfied are you on a 1 through 7 scale? And spoiler alert, the average is always 5.9, or I'm making up a number, but it's
Right.
generally a bell curve
It's a
towards
bell
the
curve.
right,
Yeah.
and everybody is satisfied-ish. And I remember running a qualitative session where I asked how satisfied are you? And the guy said on a 1 through 7 scale, he goes, that was easy. That was almost too easy. I'll give it a 5. And I started to put less and less weight on this thing called satisfaction, because it's such a loaded term and all these different pieces. But
Mm-hmm.
Roger's piece was, once he observed this, and he changed the question to be 1 through 7, how successful are you? Then if they give a 5 or higher, then the next open text is, hey, glad you're here. Glad you were successful. Why? But really, it's about the 1 through 4. Hey, sorry you were unsuccessful. What could we do different to make you successful? And
Mm-hmm.
and so those surveys were much more polarizing. Either they were on the left or they were on the right. And the open text becomes really a gold mine of unsuccessful, why? And
Mm-hmm.
being able to have that open text and be able to filter and cut and slice through all the different demographics was a really important piece. So
Mm-hmm.
jobs to be done by definition, either I'm going to hire you to do my job, or I'm going to fire you. That is really about success. It's not about
Mm-hmm.
satisfaction. So
Yeah. And I can hear some people that I know who won't watch this, but that's fine because they're jerks and owe me money, we'll say. Um, who are saying like how important satisfaction is. Even though it's in ISO, I don't even remember the number. It's like 9421. I don't know. Anyway, uh, usability, usefulness, and satisfaction. Right. Um, I've never, like, me personally, I kind of don't care about the satisfaction part. I'm not saying it's not important, but like it's definitely an ordered list
yeah.
of usefulness, usableness, and satisfactoriness. I'm good with word making. Um, but I also wonder the extent to which, well, or maybe this is the question for you. How do you feel about satisfaction in general? Like, have you abandoned it completely as something to consider, or is it still something you consider but not important, or third option miscellaneous?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Uh, yeah.
I think I've run too many qualitative sessions where I've asked, how satisfied are you? And
Mhm.
those answers have been lukewarm, and they're all over the place, that I've just become very highly jaded to surveys in general. But when Roger said, let's use success and let's do
Mhm.
the open text about why were you unsuccessful,
You're getting
that
the satisfaction
that's a
or
massive
a lens
twist
into it.
for
Yeah.
worth it. And then chocolate and peanut butter. So you take that mindset of, what could we do to make you more successful? As an innovator, I want to find those pieces. And if I could help you onboard and figure that thing out, because maybe we already have a product that solves it. You just didn't know about it. So like, okay, let's bubble those things up. but that job's to be done, I think is a good matrix for any altitude within a company. Whereas NPS, let's take this very complicated system. Let's boil it down to one number, Net
Mm-hmm.
Promoter Score or CSAT or anything like that. It feels very fuzzy. But being able to say, here's the matrices of the jobs, and here's the importance and success, and being able to see those numbers really helps highlight the ecosystem that you're working in.
Yeah. I have another question, but I'm going to side question for a second and start off that question with a statement of NPS. Stupid. Please stop doing it. Single ease question. Yes or no?
Say that differently.
How do you solo pregunta? I don't remember. Desafortunadamente, my Spanish is super rusty. Do you know about the single ease question?
I don't. I could make some assumptions, but
That's
tell me
fine.
more.
That's fine. Yeah. So there's this. I don't know who came up with it. It was probably someone who is super smart and has a book. But it's basically a question that pops up once you finish a task. That on a scale of whatever, how easy or difficult was that task? And you just ask that, and you were describing asking about were you successful, and I was thinking about the single ease question approach, which is sort of asking it, but not quite. Not it doesn't get phrased that way. I don't know. There's all these ways that we have of asking these questions that really boil down to, do you like me? Yes or no?
Sure.
From the company's perspective, right? And there's so many things to choose from. And they change based on context, whether it's B2B or B2C, whether it's for internal employees, whether it's, super complex system versus ideally not complex e-commerce, whatever, right? And so I think where I'm going with this is, to what extent does take, I think I'm using this incorrectly, a multimodal approach to understanding these core questions, how relevant is that? Or should we just be choosing one thing and only doing that? I guess jobs to be
Yeah.
done enough? Asking that success thing, is that enough? I know that I know this is a loaded question because it all depends on what you want to find out. But
going back to
you
the
also
original,
you also described the thing you're doing for your brother, and I'm not saying you stole this either, but you know who Larry Marine is?
Yes.
Yeah. So he's got the ready, fire, aim thing, but he's got this matrix for, getting votes from the business, the customer, and technology for how to prioritize what we're working on. And we've got all these things, and I'm just wondering, I don't even know what my question is. One is, I just think there's too many things. Not that we shouldn't continue to experiment to find ways to do this stuff better, but there's just so many fucking frameworks. And I think part of my kind of going back to, like, I kind of don't like doing the competitive analysis stuff, is there's all these frameworks, and I think it makes it really difficult, one, to help people, two, to really, I still don't think that quote unquote UX has done a good job of, like, saying what we do, because we need a focus group. Yeah. I'm just spiraling. Go ahead. Yeah.
To the original point about the single ease question, within
Mhm.
there, it's like, am I using TurboTax where I have a very specific destination? I'm trying to file my taxes. At the end of that funnel, saying, "Hey, how easy was that?" I'm on board with that. That makes sense.
Mhm.
But I've heard about some folks that they have access to, pick the name of the product, where they can watch users to see where was their mouse pointer in their visit, where did they click, how long were they on this page.
Mhm.
But the bookends that I have to have are, what's your intent before you start doing this thing? Now at the end of that, hey, you said earlier this was your intent. How successful were you in that intent? That's a fantastic methodology. But if you don't have intent and all you have
Yeah.
is, yeah, single ease question or tea leaves to try to figure out where do they go, like that is
Oh,
murky
I
at
forgot about tea
best.
leaves. Yeah, well, I've you said that, and thank you, because it has unspiraled me a little bit. Because where my mind was going, but not yet articulating, and therefore I was spiraling, is I feel like there's a lot of stuff that is asked of us that we end up doing that is, hey, this is a thing we can measure, so let's measure it. And there's a lot of that activity.
Sure.
And I'm sitting here going, what business decision are you trying to make or avoid making for all those risk fans out there? And that's the stuff that I find, and again, maybe Matthew's not nuanced enough. No one really wants to like get into and pay for, set aside budget for, however you want to frame that. But like I just end up measuring a bunch of crap that
Sure.
I don't know. Maybe it's useful in some contexts, but
Yeah, I'm out of the consulting world, and I wonder about life of a consultant today versus 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Pick your timeline.
uh-huh.
And it's amazing the number of stupid projects that we were paid to do because some executive wanted us to come up with a 3 by 3 grid of, we need to have shown this interface to government workers, leaders, staff, line level, blah, 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 blah. And so we recruited folks that basically like, look at this dashboard. Tell me what this pie chart is telling you. Did they understand it? Check the box. And we were paid so much money to find the proverbial, pin in a haystack to
Yeah.
to to be able to check that box. I don't know if that level of stupidity happens at that scale these days. I hope not, but
It
I
does. It does.
to to use
Maybe
outside
that's
consultant to
more
say, hey,
scaly, but
we're
yeah.
going to spend this much money to get
Yeah.
that output. I don't know. I'm hesitant to think that would be true.
I think my it does is some leader within the organization had an idea at dinner last night. Hey, all of a sudden we're on this project now? Oh, okay.
Sure.
Um yeah, and I don't yeah. And I find that this we measure it because we can is an internal and an external thing. And it's, for people in design and UX, it depends on where they are in the hierarchy within the organization, if they're reporting up through product or if they have their own structure. But it's a lot of what I feel like is just really useless activity.
It obviously,
What's my point, Scott? Is it
well,
that I'm retired now? Like, should I just,
I think somewhere in there is
yeah.
the DNA of the company that we're talking about. and some are sales driven, some are engineering driven. Like
Mm-hmm.
we will look at the data of how many people clicked on it. Yeah, the company that I've worked with for a third of my career is marketing led, and they have the innovator's dilemma is every year the CEO has to go on stage and say, "Hey, you know that loaf of bread that we sold you last year, where we sliced it like this?
Mm-hmm.
This year we're going to give you the same loaf of bread, but we're going to slice it in a different way." And
Mm-hmm.
so through that lens, the research is always geared a little bit differently. It's less about benchmarking existing customers. It's always where are the next customers going to be? Who are the disruptors? Which is why earlier I talked about that research of the the veteran customers versus the onboarding customers versus the prospective
Mm-hmm.
customers. The executive branch only prioritizes the next customer. And I've always been more of the veteran and the onboarder. Like how can we help them onboard better, faster, smarter? And using tools like Community is such a really savvy way to help new customers figure out where they're going, is ask the same question that somebody else has asked before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Well, good notes.
Exactly.
I don't feel like we had to solve anything today. Thank you for your patience with my diatribes. But let's switch gears.
Yes.
It's time for 7 plus or minus 2 questions.
Oh boy, there's a there's a metric.
Yeah. I love saying that to it makes me laugh, and I love saying that to people who've been around for a while because it to make them laugh too. All right, first question. What's something that you did recently that went really well? Yeah, I wasn't
There's
joking. It's time for 7 plus or minus 2
Yeah, no, well,
questions.
there's an
Yeah.
assumption that I've done
Yeah.
anything that went really well. I like to mentor, fair to
Yeah.
say. And I've
It's
had
working on
some
me.
pretty good conversations with folks where that there's a thing called strength finders. And I think it's an important way to understand who you are and who you work with. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's less valuable as one person saying, here's my assessment. It's more about who else are you working with. And so I've mentored somebody that they're trying to figure out their new organization, who they report to. And so being able to listen and understand what issues that they're dealing with and their strengths and how they see it, and the dynamics of who they are working with and their strengths, being able to help them think through what that looks like and how they should be thinking it through. And then, we had a really good conversation, and the next day I got a text from them saying, "Hey, that was a really good conversation."
Mm-hmm.
That's what I enjoy the most, is helping people be more successful by thinking through what are those obstacles and ways to get around it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's to answer your
That's great.
question,
Yeah.
a couple recent good
Yeah.
conversations.
Yeah. And there's no criteria you have to meet for any of these questions.
I
It's
would hope not.
yeah, no. On this show, no. Yeah. It's one of my favorite things yesterday. Well, the full short version is I noticed the notification come up on my monitor, so I looked over and the preview of the notification cut off in such a way that what I read was super negative. And I was like, ah, crap. Someone's mad at me. I said something wrong. Calm down, calm down. I went and read it. Super complimentary. And like, hey, you really helped me with this.
Yeah.
And for me, that's I mean, cold hard cash is great. I'm just saying.
Good
But
to know.
my Venmo is
Yes.
the one thing that really keeps me going is knowing that I help people. And so it's nice to hear you say that you feel successful when you get that kind of feedback. So
Yes, exactly.
yeah. All right, next question. Why can't we have nice things?
Why can't we have nice things?
Mm-hmm.
Who says we don't?
Hey, no wrong answers.
Mm.
I mean, you're seeing that the bias inherent in my system by
Well,
asking that
yeah.
question.
Why can't we have nice things? I think somewhere in there is goes back to your wiring. I think some folks are achievers and they will never be happy with what they have. They are always chasing the carrot that's hanging over their head on a stick 5 feet in front of them, and they're always trying to climb higher up the proverbial career hill. Um, so
Yeah.
I think I learned a long time ago to be pretty happy with what's right in front of me.
Yeah, I can't even remember the last time I chased a carrot.
Yeah.
Literally or literally. All right, next question. What's the biggest earthquake you've ever been in?
It was in San Francisco. My favorite earthquake story. I was living in Dallas and I was on a project in San Francisco,
Hmm.
and there was an earthquake in Dallas.
Oh,
And so
okay.
the newscasters were telling everybody, please stop calling 911. We know there was an earthquake. We get it. And telling my colleagues in San Francisco, could you imagine people calling 911 because there was an earthquake? Like that's very different
I mean,
realities.
yes, right. Yeah. It doesn't happen as often over there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Knock on wood, I've not been in a I've been in one. It's like, hey, that clock on the wall is moving, but that's the
Mm-hmm.
extent.
All right. Next question. What's the
Yes.
best road trip you've ever taken?
Uh, well, I can't say the one with my brother because that would sound like a compliment towards my brother, so that doesn't work.
Right. But that asshole is not going to watch this show. So if,
True,
yeah,
hypothetically.
yeah. Hypothetically, he's an asshole.
It's interesting talking.
I don't know your brother, and I'm sorry, Greg. Uh,
I
sure.
can't remember his name either. I Last week I went to Colorado on my own as a solo vacation, and so I enjoy a good solo road trip. 15 hours. If you want to stop, you stop. And I did camping on the way there and back. And so pulling over at 10:30 and finding two trees and finding a hammock, that's some pretty good road trip pieces.
Yeah.
How's that?
I, every answer is perfect and successful. Yeah.
Perfect.
Well done. Yeah. As a researcher, I'm complimenting you.
I noticed. It's very awkward.
Yeah. Yeah. Please stop doing that.
Yeah.
You're not doing your job well. Okay. Final question. Imagine it's a year from now.
Yes.
What do you hope to not be carrying anymore?
Somewhere in there is like I'm in the middle of, I know what I was doing as a career. I don't exactly know what I'm going to be doing next as a career. I think there are strengths that I have and experiences and situations that I want to be able to help out in. So a year from now, I hope that I'm in a space where I'm using all of my strengths full bore in ways to make the world a better place, as opposed to a job that's just a job, which
Yeah.
many folks are having to do, and I understand that. But that's I hope I'm in a place where I feel valued and I have value. How's that?
All right. It's a great answer. Sounds like you're hoping to find someplace you can be satisfied with.
Or successful.
I mean, successful. I meant successful. I meant
I figured.
successful.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the S. Also, a plosive I have trouble with. All right, well, let's stop talking.
I'm done talking.